The apology letter is still on our refrigerator. 1 page, handwritten, from a coach to a 15-year-old. And Micah won't let us take it down because of what it took to get it. 2 months before that letter, a grown man stopped a room full of children just to make a joke out of me. Micah, is that your couch dad on the bleachers? Boys, this is why you need me. Some house only have furniture in them. The whole class froze, pads down. 22 teenagers stopped mid-drill. Coach Rance Bolton held one hand up like a conductor. Then he dropped it. The laughter came on cue, trained, ugly. Micah was in the 3rd row, 15 years old, shirt soaked through. His ears went red first. They always do. He did not look at me. That was the part that hurt. I sat where I always sat, row 4, aisle side by my knee. My face did nothing. Not a flinch, not a smile. Rance waited for the flinch. He collects them. It is his whole income. Don't be shy, sir, he called. Stand up. Let the boys see the furniture. A kid in front slapped the mat. Somebody whooped. Micah stared at the floor and breathed through his nose. That's the difference, Rance told the room. Out there, soft men. In here, me. He turned his back on the bleachers, like he had already won something. Then a kid on the far wall shanked a medicine ball throw. 20 pounds of rubber came off his hip wrong and rose fast. It came at the bleachers on a line, right at the woman, 2 seats down from me. She had her phone up. She never saw it. I did not stand, I did not lean. Went out and the ball stopped. One hand, arm at full extension, no sound at all. I set it on the floor, the way you set down a sleeping child. The thrower's face went white. I gave him a nod, just a nod. My fault, sir, he said. No harm, I said. Good hip. Wrong timing. The room went quiet in a way Rance had not asked for. He looked at my hand. He looked at the ball. Something passed behind his eyes. You could watch him choose. You could actually watch him decide not to understand it. Back to work, he shouted. Nobody's here to watch a guy sit down. That was day 1 of 58. I counted them later. I promised myself that night I would swallow every word that man ever threw at me. I kept that promise longer than I should have. And a 15-year-old paid the interest. But before we continue, subscribe now and tell us in the comments where you are watching from and what time you saw this video. Tonight's story is one you will never forget. My name is Elliot Trevino. I am 47 years old. For a long stretch of my life, I worked in a unit the Army does not advertise, doing work I do not count out loud. Last spring, I married Tara, and a boy I did not raise started living in a house where I keep my boots by the door. Some men guard doors for a living. I was just trying to be allowed through one. That is the whole story. Everything else is what it cost. Forge Youth MMA sits between a vape shop and a tax office in a strip mall off Callister Road. The window says "We Build Men" in gold vinyl. 2 of the letters are peeling. Inside it smells like pre-workout powder, rubber, and cheap cologne. Rance Bolton wears the cologne. He reapplies it before parent pickup. I noticed that week 1. Tara signed the 2-year contract in January, before she met me. She signed it because Micah asked for one thing after his father left, and it was this. He begged me, she told me once. He never begs. So I never said a word about that contract, not one. I brought 2 water bottles to every practice instead. One for me, one for him. I set it on the bleacher, and I never pushed it toward him. Both bottles are full, Micah. Your call. Some nights he took it. Some nights he walked past me to the car. Both were fine. That was the deal I made with myself. The couch dad thing did not stay a one-time joke. Rance was too proud of it. By the second week it was a bit. He worked the bleachers like a comedian with a room he owned. "Hydration break," he'd yell. "Except you." "Micah, ask the recliner. Careful with that kick, you'll wake the furniture." Every line landed because the kids were 15 and he held their belts. The parents laughed too, not all of them, but enough. Laughter is a current. People ride it. Then one Thursday, a woman in scrubs stood up in row 2. Yolanda Pratt, night shift nurse. Her son Dion was the kid who shanked the medicine ball. She did not yell. She used the flat voice nurses use on drunks at 3 in the morning. "Coach, quick question. Where did you get certified?" Rance kept his back turned. "We're mid-drill, Mom, that's fine. I can wait. Which organization certified you to coach minors?" The room heard it. The kids heard it. A couple of them looked up. "Ma'am, I've been in this sport since." "That's not the question," Yolanda said. "Which body? Which card? Which number?" Rance laughed the way people laugh when they need the sound more than the joke. 2-minute rounds," he shouted. "Let's go. Eyes on me." The volume ate the question. That is a trick. It only works twice. He turned to walk the line, and his shoe hit the wet spot by the water fountain. The same wet spot he had mocked a kid for slipping on the week before. His feet went out. He caught the ring post with his forearm and slammed it hard. Somebody's phone hit the mat. Nobody laughed, which was worse. He got up fast and pointed at the puddle. "Whose bottle is that?" "Woos?" Micah's eyes came off the mat and found me for half a second. Half a second. Then gone. But I felt it in my chest like a hand. That was the first crack in something, and I did not know yet which way it would open. At home that night, Tara sat on the kitchen counter with her socks on. He does it every practice now, most practices, and you just sit there. I sit there. She looked at me for a long time. "Elliot, you could end that in one sentence." I could. "So why don't you?" I put the 2 empty bottles in the sink, both of them empty. That was new. "Because the sentence would be about me," I said. "And Micah needs the room to be about him." Tara did not argue. She just pressed her thumb into her eye, like she had a headache coming. "I signed that contract," she said. 23 months left." "I know." "He was so happy for a week." "I know." She did not say the other thing. She did not have to. She was starting to regret a piece of it she could not name yet. 2 weeks later, Rance rolled out the money. He gathered the class and the bleachers together, which he only did for sales. He had a clipboard and his cologne was fresh and he had that voice on. "Alpha Weekend," he said, 3 days, $400, 12 spots. Behind him, the wall poster showed a boy screaming at sunrise with a tire in his hands. "I'm going to be honest with you parents, because nobody else will be." He let that sit. He is good at letting things sit. Your boys are one soft summer away from ruin. One soft summer. A woman in row 1 wrote a check right there. I watched the pen move. At home they get told they're special. In here they get told the truth. Some houses only have furniture in them, boys. That's why you have me. 12 spots went to 9 in about 4 minutes. Then he walked the clipboard down the bleachers. He walked it straight to me. He had planned that. The clipboard was the punchline, and I was the setup. Mr. Trevino, he said loud. Micah's a maybe or a yes. I looked at the sheet. $400. A liability block in gray type. No certification number anywhere. We'll pass this round, I said. Quiet. Polite. Thank you for the offer. I have said harder things to worse men. It cost me nothing. It cost Micah everything. Because Rance turned around and told the class. Heads up, boys. Big voice. Head set off, chest out. Micah's staying soft this summer. Furniture's decision, not his. 22 kids turned and looked at my stepson. Micah's jaw set. He nodded once, like it was nothing, and went back to the bag. He hit that bag for 9 minutes without stopping. Nobody told him to stop. In the car, he put his hood up and looked out the window. Both bottles are full, I said. He did not answer. He did not speak to me for 3 days. 3 days is not long, unless you are counting hours in a house you are new in. Day 1, he ate in his room. Day 2, he walked past the truck and took the bus. Day 3, I found the untouched water bottle in the trash under a paper towel. That night, I stood in my own kitchen and understood something ugly. My silence was not protecting him. My silence was letting another man draw my picture. And Micah was 15. He only had the picture he was shown. I had spent years being invisible on purpose. It was the best skill I had. In that house, it was the most expensive thing I owned. Here is the part I did not know at the time. The Alpha Weekend pitch had a witness Rance forgot about. Kip Ordway, from Ironbark Nutrition, was sitting near the door with 2 boxes of samples. Ironbark put their logo on the cage wall for $800 a year. Kip watched a coach sell fear to a woman in scrubs, and he did not smile once. He wrote something in his phone and left before the last kid was picked up, and Trey Massin, the assistant coach, was standing behind Rance during the clipboard walk. Trey is 24 and does most of the actual teaching for $11 an hour. When Rance said furniture's decision, Trey laughed out loud. Not with him. At him. One short, honest bark before he could stop it. Rance heard it. He turned his head about 2 inches and did not turn back. He made Trey mop the whole floor alone that night. I saw the truck still there at 10. It was a Tuesday when the garage light woke me at 12:40 in the morning. I came down in bare feet and stopped in the doorway. Micah was on the heavy bag in basketball shorts. No wraps, no shirt. He was throwing hooks with his elbow flared out wide, like a gate swinging. He was holding his breath. His shoulders were up around his ears. Every punch made a slapping sound instead of a thud. He was copying Rance exactly. Rance's worst habits. Perfectly memorized. He saw me in the mirror and kept hitting harder, which is its own sentence. I did not say anything about the past. Not one word. That was not the moment. I picked up my mug from the workbench and leaned on the door frame. Elbow in, I said. Breathe out on contact. He hit twice more the same way. Made a point of it. Okay, he said. Flat. Bored. A door closing. I went upstairs. I stood at the top of the stairs like an idiot and listened. 11 seconds. Then the sound changed. Slap, slap, thud, 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 thud. Deep now, the chain rattling right instead of swinging wrong. He never told me he listened. He just adjusted the elbow. I stood there in the dark, grinning like a fool with a cold cup of coffee. That was the first door, and it opened about an inch. Friday practice. Rance ran pad rounds himself for the first time. In a month, he called Micah up, because Micah is the one he likes to use. Micah hit the pads, and the sound was different. Everybody heard it. Thud. Not slap. Elbow tight to the ribs, breath out on impact. Tremasin lowered his own pads and said, "Oh, nice." Rance stopped the round. He shook out his hands like they stung, which they did. Who told you to do that? Micah did not look at the bleachers. That is important. He did not look at me. Nobody, coach, because that's my elbow mechanic. That's from my alpha curriculum. Yes, coach. Which you're not signed up for. Yes, coach. Rance turned to the room. He needed the room. He always needs the room. See, boys? Even the furniture's kid picks up the good stuff by osmosis. You're welcome. He got a laugh. A thinner one. Yolanda Pratt did not laugh at all. She was typing on her phone with her thumb. Slow and careful, the way you type when you are being precise. Halfway through the round, a paper cup slid off the timer table. Coffee, full, 1 foot from a stack of borrowed jizz on the floor. I was already standing to walk to the trash. My hand took it out of the air. Not one drop. I set it back on the table and kept walking like nothing happened. Behind me a kid said, "Bro, did you see that?" And Rance said, "Way too fast. Eyes on me." He had seen it. Twice now. A man like that has to be right more than he has to be safe. That is not a personality. That is a fault line. The showcase poster went up the following Monday. Forgyouth MMA Father-Son Sparring Showcase. Saturday the 14th, 11 a.m. Light technical rounds with our coaching staff. Dads on the mats. Cameras welcome. At the bottom, in the corner, a cartoon. A brown couch with little legs. A circle drawn around it in red marker. The circle was drawn on the photo of our bleacher section. Row 4, aisle side. He printed 40 of them. He put them in the lobby, the bathroom, and the front window. Tara saw it at pickup. She stood in the lobby, holding her keys so hard her knuckles went white. She did not cry. Tara does not cry in public. She gets very, very calm. At dinner, she said it plain. We're pulling him out. We can talk about. I'm not asking, Elliot. I'm telling you what I'm going to do. She turned to Micah. Baby, we'll find another gym. There's one in Kesterly. Micah put his fork down. He looked at his plate for a while. 15-year-olds do not answer fast. You have to let the silence run. No, he said. I want him to come. Tara blinked. Come where? The showcase. Micah, who are you talking about? He picked his fork back up. I know what I said. Nobody at that table knew which him he meant. I want to be honest with you. I did not know. Tara did not know. And Micah was not telling. He might have been asking his stepfather to walk onto a mat. He might have been asking his mother to let a coach finish the job. I lay awake that night doing math. I had no business doing. The next Sunday, Tara sent us both to the garage to clear the back wall. The lease said no storage against the shared wall. So we hauled boxes for 3 hours. Micah worked without complaining, which is his way of being in the room without talking. At the bottom of a stack, behind the Christmas bins, was a shoebox with tape gone yellow. I did not know Tara still had it. She had forgotten it existed. I had too. He opened it because he was 15, and it was a taped box in his own garage. There were no medals in it. I never kept those. There was one photograph. 9 men, sunblown, faces you cannot make out anymore. Nobody in it is smiling, and nobody in it is standing straight. Under the photo, folded in thirds, a citation on heavy paper, 10 lines of dry government language, a date, a place, 2 words in capitals. Words a 15-year-old with a phone can look up in about 11 seconds. I was on a ladder with a box of camping gear. I heard the paper unfold. I turned around. Micah was reading. His face was absolutely still. He put the citation back the way it had been, folded in thirds, photo on top. He put the lid on. He set the box on the shelf, dead center, squared to the edge. Then he said, "Where do the lanterns go?" Second shelf. Cool. That was it. That was the whole conversation. He did not ask me a single question. Not one, then or ever. But I found the box moved 4 inches that night when I went out for a wrench, and the tape was pressed back down along the seam with a thumb. The next practice was the strangest hour of my life, because I was watching Rance Bolton do his act, and I was watching my stepson watch him. Rance had a new bit. He held his hand up flat and called it the couch test. If I put my drink here, does it fall? No, that's a couch. That's a dad. Kids laughed. Rance milked it. He walked the mat with the little strut he does, and Micah did not laugh. Micah watched him the way you watch a man do a card trick when you already know where the card is. He watched the strut. He watched the cologne. He watched Rance check the mirror twice in one lap. He watched him yell at Trey Massine for stacking pads in the wrong corner. And I finally understood what I had gotten wrong for 50 days. I thought my stepson worshipped this man and merely tolerated me. He was not worshiping anybody. He was testing both of us. He had been the whole time. He was 15, and his father had walked out and 2 men were standing in front of him. He was watching to see which one needed an audience. One of us shouted through a headset in a strip mall. One of us caught a cup and put it back on the table and kept walking. The kid was not confused. The kid was running an experiment. I was so busy being careful that I never noticed I was already being measured. That was the night I heard Rance through the office door. I was waiting for Micah to finish showering. The hallway light was out. The office door was open 2 inches, and the phone was on speaker, loud. The way older men talk, numbers, a man's voice said. No hello, just the word. Camps at 9 of 12, Dad. Showcase should push memberships. 9 of 12. There's still 2 weeks. You always get close, Rance. Silence. Real silence. 4 full seconds of it. You got close at selection 2. Dad, send me the real number Friday. Click. I stood in that dark hallway and heard a 34-year-old man breathe. Then I heard him spray the cologne. 2 pumps. Then his chair rolled back. I moved away from the door before he came out. Because nobody deserves to be seen like that. Now, I want to be very clear with you about something. That phone call explains the machine. It does not excuse one single thing the machine did. A man's father can be cold, and the man can still choose not to humiliate children. Rance had 100 chances to choose that. He sold tickets instead. Yolanda Pratt sent her question in writing. Certified letter to the business address, and a copy to the strip mall's leasing office. She asked 4 things. Which sanctioning body? What certification number? What insurance carrier? What background check policy for staff? The reply came back 11 days later on gym letterhead with a gold logo. It was 2 paragraphs long, and it said almost nothing, and the almost is what killed him. Championship pedigree turned out to be 2 amateur smoker fights at a casino in 2014. 1 win, 1 no contest. No sanctioning body listed for either. His coaching credential was an online seminar, a webinar, 8 hours, certificate emailed same day. Under organization, he had typed the name of his own gym. Yolanda scanned it and put it in the parents' group chat with no comment at all. No comment is the most violent thing you can do to a document like that. The chat had 61 parents in it. It went off like a drop tray. Wait. What is a smoker fight? He told me he trained pros. He told me he had a national title. Is anybody in there CPR certified? My son has been going 3 years. Rance found out about the letter at 6:15 on a Wednesday. He came out of the office holding his phone, and his face was a color I have only seen twice. He walked to the bleachers and stood in front of Yolanda Pratt with his chest out. You want to do this here? I asked in writing, she said. You answered in writing. It's already done. You're trying to hurt my business in front of kids. I'm a nurse, she said. I asked who's responsible if one of them gets hurt. My Guayam, my rules. That's not a carrier name, coach. He blinked twice. He had nothing. He walked away and turned up the music instead. He turned it up so loud, the front window buzzed for the rest of the hour. Then came the wrist. Cody Van is 13. He went to Alpha Weekend because his mother believed the ruined speech. He came home Sunday night with a wrist wrapped in an ace bandage and a story he told wrong twice. Tire flips, then wall sits. Then something called the gauntlet at 5 a.m. His mother took him for an X-ray Monday. Bad sprain, growth plate fine, 4 weeks out. And in the intake paperwork, she found a liability waiver with her signature on it. She had never signed a liability waiver. She had signed a camp registration form in the lobby. Same page, second sheet under the first. Carbonless copy. She put a photo of it in the group chat at 9:41 on a Monday night. Refund requests hit 13 by Wednesday. Then 19. 4 families quit outright. 2 more paused billing. Kip Ordway from Ironbark Nutrition took his banner off the cage wall on a Thursday afternoon. He did not make a speech. He just came with a ladder and rolled it up and left. I was in the lot picking Micah up. I watched Rance watch that banner go. He stood in his own doorway with his arms crossed, and for 1 second he looked 34. Then Trey Masson said something behind him, and Rance turned and shouted at Trey, "For 10 minutes, that is how you know. A man will not learn." He always finds someone smaller to spend it on. The teenagers did the thing nobody planned. Somebody reprinted the showcase poster. Same fonts, same photo, same date. The cartoon couch was gone. So was the red circle. 24 copies appeared in the lobby overnight, taped over the old ones, corners square. Rance tore down 6 of them, and 11 more went up by the end of the week. He asked the class who did it. Nobody answered. Nobody ever answered. The class group chat has no adults in it. It never has. I know exactly 1 line of what was said in there, and I only know it because Dion Pratt told his mother, and Yolanda told Tara in a parking lot in April. Micah wrote, "He's not funny anymore. He's just loud. Take the couch off." That was it. 11 words from a kid who barely speaks at dinner. 24 posters. Corners square. By the Thursday before the showcase, Rance had stopped joking about me. He had started something worse. He had started saying my name. He put a video on the gym's page. Him in the empty gym, headset on, lights low, Saturday. 11 a.m. fathers on the mats, light technical rounds. And I want to say something to a certain gentleman who's been sitting on my bleachers for 2 months. Sir, you've been very quiet. Saturday, you get an invitation. In front of everybody, bring your water bottles. 200 views became 900. Parents shared it. Kids shared it. Trey Masson did not share it. Tara watched it twice with her jaw tight and then handed me the phone. "He's not going to stop," she said. "No, he's going to do it Saturday in front of every family in that gym." "Yes. Elliot." She waited until I looked at her. "What are you going to do?" I thought about a shoebox squared to the edge of a shelf. "Whatever Micah asks me to do," I said. "Nothing more than that." Saturday came in hot and bright, with the smell of cut grass off the lot. The gym was full by 10:40. They had run out of chairs and brought in benches from the tax office next door. 90-some people, grandparents, a woman with a baby carrier. Phones everywhere. Rance had taped the mats into 3 squares. Red tape, fresh, sticky. He wore a black rash guard with his own name on the back, and a headset mic with a wire taped to his cheek. A card table by the door sold Alpha Weekend spots at a walk-in rate. Nobody was at the table. Micah dressed in the car and did not say a word the whole drive. We came in the side door at 10:52. Tara went left toward Yolanda. Micah and I went right. We got 4 steps. The sound system popped. Well, look. Wu got off the couch. 90 heads turned. The mic hit the metal walls and came back doubled. "Boys, that's the couch, Dad. Remember what I told you? Some house only have furniture in them." 2 kids laughed. 2 out of 30. The rest of that room made no sound at all, and Rance heard it, and it made him worse. He walked the tape line with his arms out wide, working the phones. "Today is about men," he said. "Today the dads come off the bleachers. Light technical round, everybody. Nobody gets hurt. Coach goes easy." He stopped 10 feet from me and pointed with the whole hand. "Furniture versus coach, unless the couch is bolted down." A man near the door said, "Come on, Rance." And Rance talked right over him. "This is why you have me. Because at home nobody makes you do anything hard." I stood there with a water bottle in each hand. 58 days of this. I had one job: keep the peace of a 15-year-old's heart. I turned to look at Micah, to tell him we could walk out the side door right now. Micah was already looking at me, and he was pulling his gloves off his hands. He held them out. 16-ounce, blue, the strap fraying at one corner. The gym went so quiet I could hear the ceiling fan bearings. "Elbow in," my stepson said. "Breathe out on contact." I have been handed a lot of equipment in my life by a lot of serious people. Nothing ever weighed what those gloves weighed. I set the water bottles down on the bleacher. Row 4, aisle side. I took off my watch and put it in my shoe. I was wearing jeans and a gray t-shirt. I stepped over the red tape in my socks. The room made a noise then, not a cheer, a kind of intake, 90 people at once. Rance grinned like a man who had just been handed his whole year. "Oh, we got a volunteer. Somebody get this on video." "Everybody's got it on video," a teenager said, and a couple of adults laughed. Rance's grin slipped 1 millimeter. He put it back. "Light technical," he announced to the room. "I'm a professional. I control the pace." Then, quieter, off mic to me. "You embarrass me in front of my parents. I end your knee." I looked at him for about a second and a half. "I don't want to spar," I said. "I'll shake your hand and sit down." "AWWW," he said, right into the microphone. "He's scared, boys. I'm asking you once," I said. "Let's not do this in front of them." That's a no from the Koosh? Oh wait, he's still standing there. Then he came. Understand something about how he came at me. He did not start at showcase speed. He started at showcase speed for about 11 seconds. Jab, jab, low kick. All of it pulled, all of it for the phones. He called it out as he threw it like a demonstration. See the setup? See the angle? I did not throw anything. I moved my feet and my head, and the shots went where I had just been. He touched nothing, not a shoulder, not a glove, not a hair. 11 seconds is a long time in front of 90 people. He reset and did it again, faster, sharper, same result. His combinations found air, every single one. Air, air, air. You could hear the shots now, that whipping sound punches make when they hit nothing. Somebody in the bleachers said, "Whoa," and it carried. Rance's face went from performance to work to something else. His breathing came up. His shoulders came up. His mouth came open. He stopped narrating. That was the tell. He stopped talking to the room. He was 34 years old in front of every family he had ever taken money from, and he could not touch a man in socks and jeans. He planted his front foot on that fresh tape and loaded his right hand. Not light, not technical. He threw across to make a point in front of children he frightens for a living. Here is the second. I slipped it by moving my head 4 inches and my hips at the same time. His arm kept going, because a committed cross has to. That is physics, not skill. I took the wrist as it passed, and I did not pull it. I walked it. Half a turn further than his plan, in the same direction it already wanted to go. His shoulder followed his hand. His hips followed his shoulder. His base followed his hips. I stepped once to his outside, put my chest on the back of his arm, and lowered my weight. He went down to both knees on his own mat because kneeling was the only place left for his body to be. His wrist was folded flat against his own chest, cradled. No strain on the joint. My forearm was across his shoulder blade. My hand was open, palm flat. Nothing was hurt. Nothing was going to be. I could hear him breathing, fast, ragged, panic breath. I could hear me breathing, and mine had not changed since the bleachers. That is what he felt. That is the part he will remember, not the wrist. He felt a man behind him with a resting pulse. He slapped my forearm twice. I let go on the first slap. I stood him up by the elbow before he could get himself off the floor, and I gave him back his arm. I checked his wrist with 2 fingers, turned it, and let it drop. "You're fine," I said. "Roll the shoulder tonight. 90 people. Not one sound." A phone slid off a bleacher and clattered. A grandfather in the 2nd row was halfway out of his seat with his hand over his mouth. Trey Masson was standing at the timer with his clipboard held against his chest like a shield. Yolanda Pratt had both hands on her knees, staring. And I turned to the room and I set it at bleacher volume, the way he always said it, so the phones would get it clean. Some houses only have furniture in them. I let that sit the way he liked to let things sit. Mine has a garage, a heavy bag, and a kid who fixed his elbow in one night. I bent down and picked up the mouthpiece case he had dropped and put it in his hand. "Coach your class." I walked to the tape and stepped over it. And that should have been the end. It was not the end. Because the flip sentence was never mine to say. The floor mic was on a stand by the card table. Nobody offered it to anybody. Micah crossed the mat and took it. 15 years old, in a gym where he had been the punchline for 2 months. In front of 30 kids he sees every week. He tapped it twice with his finger to check it was live. Then he looked straight at Rance Bolton. His name is Elliot. The room went absolutely still. He was Delta Force. Somebody said "no way" in a whisper that carried to the back wall, and he never once needed to tell you. He put the microphone back on the stand. He put it back gently. Then he walked over and picked up the 2nd water bottle off row 4 and drank half of it. I want to tell you what happened next in order, because it happened fast and every piece of it counted. Owen Kessler, 16, the kid who ran the reprints, walked into the lobby and came back with a poster. The original one, cartoon couch, red circle. He folded it in half, then in quarters. Slow in front of everybody, creasing each fold with his thumb. He handed it to Rance. "We took it off ours," he said. "You can keep that one." Rance held it. He did not put it down for a long time. He just held it. Then Tara stood up on the bleacher. With her phone in her hand, she did not raise her voice. She read. From the parents' group. 19 families are requesting full refunds for Alpha Weekend. 6 are requesting prorated refunds on annual contracts. We are asking for a written response by Wednesday. This is not one parent, coach. This is the chat. She scrolled with her thumb. There are 61 people in it. Yolanda Pratt walked to the announcement board by the front door. She took out 4 thumbtacks and pinned up the certified letter and his reply, both pages, side by side, right next to the class schedule, right at eye level for every parent who walks in. Then she said the only loud thing I ever heard her say. Nobody is taking your gym. We are taking the story you tell about it. And Cody Van's mother stood up with the waiver photo already on her screen. And you're going to explain this signature to me today, before anybody leaves. The parents met in the lobby for 40 minutes while the kids ate the showcase donuts. I was not in that meeting. I stood outside by the truck with Micah, and we did not talk much. He kicked a rock under a car. He drank the rest of the water. That was fast, he said. Yeah. Like 1 second. About that. He nodded. He looked at the gym window with the peeling gold letters. You could have done that in week 1. I could have. Why didn't you? That was the question. He finally asked it, standing in a strip mall parking lot. Because it wasn't my gym, and it wasn't my class, and it wasn't my call, I said. It was yours. I was waiting to be asked. He thought about that for a while. That's dumb, he said. Little bit. Don't do it again. Okay. He got in the truck. Then he rolled the window down. You want to go get food, or what? The parents came out with terms, and the terms were simple. Full refunds inside 30 days. A real certification, in writing. In 6 months, or families walk. An adult certified in first aid at every youth session. Insurance carrier posted publicly. Trey Massin got a raise, and the words assistant coach on an actual pay stub. And one more thing, which the parents put last and meant first. A written apology. Handwritten. Not typed, not emailed, not posted. Not addressed to me, addressed to Micah. Because I was a grown man who could eat 2 months of insults and sleep fine. He was 15, and every one of those jokes landed in a room full of people he has to see on Tuesdays. That was the only address that ever mattered. Rance wrote it that night. He brought it to the house on Sunday afternoon. He stood on our porch in a t-shirt, with no cologne on, and he did not come inside. He handed the envelope to Micah. Not to me, which I will give him credit for, he said. I was wrong about your family. 6 words. He got them out. Micah said, okay. Then he closed the door, and that was it. 1 page, handwritten. Both sides. My stepson read it standing in the kitchen. He read it twice. Then he put it on the refrigerator under a magnet shaped like a taco. Tara said, Do you want me to file that somewhere, baby? He said, No. It stays. It is still there this morning. I looked at it while the coffee brewed. The corner is curling, and there is a coffee ring on the bottom, and Micah will not let anyone touch it. Our Saturdays run on garage time now. Bag work at 9. 2 water bottles on the workbench. Nobody has to offer anybody anything. He is 15, and he hits harder than he did in April, and his elbow stays in. I fixed the light and hung a second bag. a lighter one, and he named it after a kid at school. We do rounds until Tara bangs on the wall about the noise. Then he beats me at a video game, with absolutely no mercy at all. He does not let me win, not once. He talks the entire time. That's the third time. Third. You're not even looking at the mini-map. I have been in rooms where men do not talk at all. I like this room better. Rance still coaches. I want to be honest about that, because you were probably hoping otherwise. His probation notice is posted by the door, with the class schedule and the letter. The gym is smaller now, 2 classes instead of 4. Trey teaches most of them. The window still says WBE Build Min and 2 letters are still peeling. I have not heard him yell at a bleacher since. That is not redemption. It is not nothing either. He has the chance to become someone better, and nobody owes him the ending. Some men guard doors. That was my work, and I was good at it, and I do not talk about it. I spent 58 days on a bleacher, waiting to be let through one. It turned out the door had a garage behind it, and a heavy bag, and a kid who says my name out loud. I never needed to be feared in that gym. I needed to be picked, and I could not pick myself. The strongest thing I did in 2 months was hand a boy a water bottle and not push it. And the strongest thing he ever did was pick up a microphone nobody handed him. Quiet strength is not weakness sitting down. It is power waiting to be invited. The loudest man in the room is almost never the most dangerous one, and the most dangerous one is almost never the one who tells you. Here is the question I want you to answer. Elliot stayed silent for months, while Rance defined him to his stepson. Was letting Micah discover the truth himself wise patience, or did the silence make a 15-year-old do an adult's job? Tell us below. If this story hit you, subscribe now, share it with someone who respects quiet strength, and tell us in the comments which moment hit you the hardest. We will see you for the next story. It is already waiting.